Okay. But this was some basic information. This is more of a transition kind of a chapter to tell you that you're getting into that. And then we got into our area of work. The first one was how we got into this reactive species, the essentially to overcome the negative effects of the liquid phase oxygen supply strategy. The strategy itself is clean, but when hydrogen peroxide, the main chemical, is used in a mixed system with iron, copper, and so on and so forth, that causes reactive species and that affects the growth of cells. How it's the data is clear that it affects. It could be inside, outside, whatever, various effects. So our aim was to reduce that, and that's how we got into reactive species, and we got caught there. Pretty much, caught in the sense voluntarily caught there, and that has been our life, the life of our research group ever since from 19. Oh no, there's a lot of literature. Lot of literature was there. This area is 80 years old. Reactive species has been studied for 80 years. It has not been popular. Okay, to give you some baseline, AI has been an area of research for 70 years. Okay, now it is popular. That's the way it happens with most science fields. There's some time when it goes through a popularity phase. After that, the popularity comes down, and so not everybody looks at you, but yeah, there is enough to do anyway. Here, it has never become popular. I don't know whether it will become popular. That you cannot predict. I cannot predict at least. Very difficult to predict. It is pretty much with anything related to the mass public. What catches the attention, you never know. Or at least I don't know. And not just me, it seems that many creative people don't know. I often hear people in movies, music making saying, we can never predict which song becomes a hit, we can never predict which movie becomes a hit. We do our best and then it goes out. We can, not just that, authors, book authors, they very commonly say, we don't know how it is received before it becomes received. Some people claim that they know. Probably they do. I don't know. Especially in the movie field, which is such a field. You never know. Maybe they do. So this work has been on. Just that using reactive species or manipulating reactive species in biological systems towards improving productivity is our way. That nobody had done. Liquid phase oxygen supply strategy as a general strategy is our baby. Nobody had done. Hydrogen peroxide was used even before the 1977 paper, which didn't look at any of the aspects. You add hydrogen peroxide, it grows, possibly due to oxygen. Okay, it's a German authored paper. So when we did this, they said, "Oh, you looked at that." I said, I didn't even know the existence of it. Right? When I went to the conference, they said, oh, there's a paper from 1977. I said, I haven't looked at it. And then, if it is in the literature, you cannot claim that. So that's why I always say we generalize the strategy. Okay. If you look at it as the movement of oxygen from the gas phase to the liquid phase, that makes it very general. That's why we like to do things at the science level. Makes things general. We like to do engineering principles at the science level because it makes it general. You could apply it to any fermentation. There it was just whatever system that was shown in some bacterial system, I think. I don't remember that. It was published in Biotech Biology, 1977. And that was the only thing that was available. There was some work which one of my colleagues was trying to do in our lab, but that was a totally different kind of a thing. So this was after I had left my PhD. My colleague in my PhD days was trying to do. That was never published. And I had looked at it as this, I said, rather it makes it applicable to anything. And then it was my choice of a system. What do I show it on? And I thought it might be expensive, and so said, let me choose a tough system. That's why viscous fermentation, xanthan gum I chose, no other reason. And it worked out fine. Worked out fine. Of course, it worked out, and in a way it worked out. It turned out to be good. So, yeah, you always build on things, but there could be something that you're contributing on your own. Yeah. Any other questions on it? So that's how that came about. So this is how we got into it. What was this? Oh, yeah, oxygen supply and reactive species. Reactive species were responsible. The reaction itself, hydrogen peroxide giving you water and oxygen, clean, no problem. It's just that when hydrogen peroxide interacts with iron or copper, it generates reactive species. And more importantly, there was a huge reduction in the maximum cell concentrations that were achieved, and probably the growth rate to a certain extent, specific growth rate to a certain extent. And that's what led us in this direction. We were searching for means by which we could avoid that, so that we could further improve our productivities. But then, as an area by itself, yeah, this thought was completely mine. It kind of developed. It was not an overnight thought or anything like that. It kind of slowly developed. I didn't even know that it developed until it crystallized. So that's how it was. And I remember checking Brock microorganisms, first chapter, just flipping through it with all these thoughts at the background. First chapter, it said all aerobes have catalase. Done. One short sentence there. I said, done. My thing is set now. I don't have to worry about it. So the way I expected it to work was very different. The way it turned out was very different. That is something that we labored and figured out. The mechanism we labored and figured out very different from what we expected earlier. It will somehow sense catalase was all. Funny to think about it nowadays, but that's how it seemed to work. The data seemed to support that hypothesis. Till I started thinking, what prevents hydrogen peroxide from going into the cell? Nothing. Small uncharged molecule. That was a shower idea, definitely, and that's what led us through the mechanistic studies, and we were very surprised to find what we did. That was this chapter. And this, have I told you the story about how I worked this economics out? No. I had a project. It was a part of the older project, and we were just getting into this. I think I told you the story about people not appreciating the idea, but said, since it was a small project, fine, might as well fund or something like that. Because when I went for my first review, the guy said, I reviewed your project, but I don't believe it. He told me that. I told him, I'm showing you data that it is working. I said, I still don't believe that. By the when we had ultimately published it and so on and so forth. And this was another funny thing, but this was kind of positive. There was one reviewer much later, towards the very end, who of that project, who asked me, fine, so what is hydrogen peroxide is expensive? I said, yeah, it is expensive, and that's why I want to show it. Do you have any numbers? I didn't have any numbers then. So I said, I'll let you know. And then this presentation was in the morning. It was some kind of a workshop or something like that, I don't know, because I came back again. It was held in the guest house at IIT Bombay. So I went, I worked this out with some numbers that I could find and all that. And in the afternoon, I went and presented it. See, this is what it is. It seems promising. I'll do more work on this. Is it fine? That's fine. So it was nice, and that's when I got most of these numbers, and then of course we improved on these numbers and added various features to it. It so turns out that it is actually less expensive than it was less expensive. It is less expensive than air through the compressor route. So we found that a mere treatment with reactive species to induce reactive species improves productivity. And that was the data was coming in, I was looking at it, I said, good, fine, that seems nice, but I never paid attention to it. Till again a shower idea, I was in the shower, I said, why should I even look at LPOs? And I just treat, my aim is to improve productivity. I treat it with reactive species, productivity improves. I don't understand how it happens, but it improves. Let's go into it. That's how we got into this particular work, kind of a shower idea. And then it seems to work for many different systems. Photosynthetic systems, it did not work. That I came to know after coming here. And it worked on so many different systems, and 20 different systems that when the project that I gave Aparna was, we used this for algae. Yeah, spirulina at that time. She was looking at spirulina, algae. Then when she tried, it didn't work. Then it struck me, these things produce oxygen. Why do they need oxygen? I cannot even justify the need for oxygen. And but the reactive species part was relevant, and therefore that was fine. We found something, but it doesn't work the way it does, or rather, that strategy doesn't work the way it does for the spirulina system. It worked well for the chlorella system producing bio oil. Rather, it was not directly related to the way it was related with bacteria and so on and so forth, but it did improve the period over which the oil accumulates, the extent of oil production, and so on and so forth. So be a little careful with algal systems, because the LPO is not a need for algal systems because it produces oxygen. But the improvement in productivities are anyway there with that system also. May not be the enzymes that she was initially looking at, but later it worked out fine. So a lot of work there. And then, what are we doing in terms of time? That's fine. Then we got into various other stresses. This started at IIT Bombay and continued here. This was purely our thought, although the entire world was kind of starting to look at this. How you know that the chemically induced stresses are mediated through reactive oxygen species. What about physically induced stresses? And that's how we got into shear, which is relevant for the bioreactor environment and so on and so forth. Started Susmita's work at IIT Bombay and then continued here, pH, temperature, Pritish's work. And it so happens that all are mediated through reactive oxygen species. We were pretty much the first ones to say that openly. And then slowly over the next 15-20 years, nobody started even questioning that after about 15 years. But yeah, this was establishing the fact that reactive oxygen species can be used as indeed a measure, a true measure of the cellular stress status. So that's how we brought this in. That's our contribution. I mean, we contributed significantly to that idea. That's the best that I can tell. And any questions on this? Then came specific things with nanobiosystems. Entirely, this was entirely Archana's ideas, thoughts, and so on, of removing nanoparticles through bioaccumulation, and then using such an organism to bioaccumulate that the bioaccumulation causes higher production of a product, in this case bio oil, which I thought was a very neat idea. Probably it was much earlier than its due time. So it was not highly accepted, but I mean highly accepted in journal wise. Idea was it was fine. Let us see when it gets its due recognition. And of course, in cancer treatment was a lot of work done over a long period, slowly done. However, ultimately we figured out rhythms in cancer cells. Ranjani figured out rhythms in microalgal systems, and that idea we brought on to cancer systems. This also seemed to have rhythms, endogenous rhythms. That rhythm characteristics change with the drug, and that seems to have a bearing on how effective the killing is with the drug. So we showed a 27% increase in killing, the effectiveness of the drug, just by changing the time at which it is given to the cell culture. As I said, we wanted to try this out on actual patients because there is nothing that you do different. It's the same thing, only thing is that you change the time at which it is given. It has not happened so far, although all efforts were made. Let us see when that happens. And then, of course, finally, we started with the idea that we'll have a website. People will come if they want to check what reactive species does to their system. They can put whatever is needed. They get an output saying this is the effect on your system. That is what we wanted to develop. Initially, the efforts were in terms of classical methods using reaction kinetics, thermodynamics, and so on and so forth. Due to the need for the data, that was not scalable. It was fine for small set of reactions, small networks, but it was not scalable. And the fact that the cell consists of a network of reactions rather than a single reaction became more and more prominent in people's perception. They even started rather not fully accepting the one studies done on a single reaction there, and so on and so forth. And therefore, we started looking at systems biology. We developed a scalable reactive species module there. With those methods, it was possible to develop a scalable reactive species module. And then, as we discussed, we put in GPRs into it, although quietly. We couldn't, we hadn't done enough to publish it. If Aditi had done whatever she promised, we couldn't complete that. But the module is complete. The module is available on the same site that I showed you earlier. Where was that? Yeah. This, which is pretty much the same as what is available to everybody. This is what somebody gets to see when they click the link from the paper also. I put it into the same folder so that whoever wants to use it can use it. And we clearly say that this is an improved version with the GPRs and so on. So if you want to use it, be my guest. Please acknowledge us. That should be it. Any questions, comments? We have 4 minutes left. So hopefully this gave you an overall picture. I think it's an important thing that way. Some people don't seem to recognize the importance of having an overall picture. It's always nice to know. They take this is easy to remember, easy to appreciate, and so on and so forth. Pretty much the entire course in one lecture, a review lecture. Any questions, comments, anything that you want? Okay, so the next by the way, 19th happens to be a holiday, next Friday for elections, and therefore we just shift the whole thing by one. We have enough time. I've taken care of, that's the reason I have buffer days. Usually have buffer days, but this time I knew that elections were there. So as expected that it coincided with one of our classes. I'll just shift it by one day. So we'll not have a class on Friday. Of course, the entire institute will be closed, even the library is closed. Whatever is supposed to happen on Friday will happen Monday. Essentially will be pushed by one day. And we'll finish the next Monday instead of the next Friday, instead of that, the Friday before that. That should be okay. Yeah. You submit the evening before your presentation. No. 26th. That's 1 week before classes because I need the time to grade. You'll finish yours before anyway. No, this guy is Abbas is last. Second. Anyway, one semester to work. So that is not getting changed. Don't worry about it. Last day. So you have probably a month. No, not month. What is it? 26th, right? Today is 12th. Good time, good lead time, so that That will not affect you. You just have to plan things around it. What you do in the last minute really doesn't help in all these things. Okay, let me quickly take attendance. I need to take attendance today. And then we can close. I also need to tell you that you will present, and then I'll open up for questions. Everybody should ask questions. You will be graded on them. Okay. The grading is something like this. I'm not going to show you because I have only the Excel sheet of last time with their marks, so I'm not going to show you that. But it is something like student presentations 2024. Okay. Yeah, I have this anyway. I made this. So there are three types of questions that I categorize. As you ask, I will categorize. So simple, medium, and deep. Right? You can ask whatever you want. You don't have to think about whether it is this or that. So many simple questions would be equivalent to probably one deep question. That way, as long as you ask reasonable number of questions, it's okay. I'll have some limit. If you cross that, you will get full marks. That kind of a thing. So the participation marks will be 15%. So that is what you'll 15% of this exercise. That is. Presentation will be 25%. The way you present, the way you communicate, and so on and so forth, and your material, of course. Number of papers will be 10%. I'll count the number of non-review papers and things like that. Please make sure that you have at least 10. Okay. Some don't. Okay. I go through every single thing, by the way. Don't take a chance there because I go and check whether it's a non-review paper. So that, and of course, the quality carries 50%, 50. So make sure that your work is deep enough. So that makes it 100%. So that's how it is. You present, then people will ask questions and you'll be graded on the questions that you ask. And I will moderate it. If you're asking too many questions, then let's say, enough here, you go, go for marks. So let others ask, that kind of a thing. And yeah, attendance I need to take. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Only 10. Yeah. I presented my work of 11 years in 15 minutes when I came for selection to the professor position at IIT Madras. 11 years, 10 minutes. As long as they are not predatory journals, I don't mind. I will not mind because you don't know. People will not know without a huge background what is a highly regarded journal and what is not so highly regarded. So I don't pay too much attention at this for the course. For research, yes, I do. So Ankit, do. I don't want you to. I'm looking for a review. Up to you. If it is so crucial, you need to, but it's rarely crucial. You need to make that choice. I need a critique. I'm looking for the critique. One slide per minute is the normal thumb rule. I wouldn't be too strict if you have 12. As long as you finish in 10, you won't get more than 10. I'll ask you to stop. I'll give you a warning at 8 and hard stop at 10. And I'm very strict with that. No, that is not the point. You're not presenting the paper. You are processing those 10 or more papers and presenting a certain your view on those papers, their relationship, what is wrong, what is right with them, and so on and so forth. And more I mean, what is wrong, what is right with individual papers itself is okay, but not so great. But you need to present your overall view of those 10 plus papers. That is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a great deal of processing, not a summary. Definitely not a summary. If you present a summary, you will not cross 40%. Okay, this is done, and I need to save this, right? And I need to spend time on where is DigiCampus. Okay. There'll be enough. If you are a part of the presentation, you'll have enough. Rather, I want your questions to come from the presentation, not a previous reading of the paper. That I don't want you to spend so much time, because it takes a lot of time to read those papers. No, whatever comes to you is good enough. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for your mastery over that field, which probably is not your field at all. They would have chosen a totally different field. I'm looking for participation, looking for involvement through those questions. That's all. Of course, you read those papers, your level of appreciation would be a lot different, a lot deeper. I don't deny that, but I'm not looking for that. No confusion. They won't have come anyway. The only thing is that I wish I had known, I would have cancelled this class. I would have done the same thing some other time maybe. And this is an important class in terms of getting an overall perspective and so on. So I would have done that anyway. Oh. He didn't know, is it? No, good. 3 of you were there. That was nice. Okay, people. From Monday onwards, presentation. The Friday class gets pushed by 1. That's it. Yeah, please let your classmates know. Yeah, I'm done here. There's a lot of work that I can do from home. If there is no pressing need to be here, and it's a painful drive for me.